Hi, I'm Nick, and this is episode 5 of my For Odin playthrough. Now, as we were going last time, we're colonising the New World. While you're away, I have started colonising Gahuni, which is in the area of Huchakuna, Hochakona, which will eventually become our capital region, all these verdant grasslands. Now, as you can see here, and relatively snow-free compared to the rest of my territory. Well, we sold an island which wasn't covered in snow. How could we? Anyway, Lost Bosnia has just laid claim to one of our territories, insulting us, and I have responded by actually building an army, or starting building the army. I'm not sure if that will dissuade them at all, but we can hope. We can only hope. And perhaps if we have a big enough army, okay, that will dissuade them. We'll ally with Lost Serbia, and Lost Bosnia will not take us on because those two are roughly equal in power. Interestingly, they don't have a second idea group, either of them, and so they've maxed out their ideas and probably have all these mark points that they're not really using, though why don't they spend them on tech? I don't know, maybe that's what they're doing there. They're just improving their territory so much. But in any case, Lost Bosnia has focused on religious ideas, and Lost Serbia has focused on administrative ideas. Who knows why, but they have, and does that actually give either of them any particular... So Lost Serbia has some national ideas which are... well, Lost Bosnia, hostile cooperation on us. Okay, that would be interesting, but Lost Serbia has some military national ideas and Lost Bosnia doesn't. So maybe that will sway the balance of power. Of course, heaven forbid Castile should not rule over all of Spain. These railroady events really annoy me, and I realize some people thought that Europa Universalis 3 was too sandbox, and so they scaled the sandboxiness back a bit. Hence the Iberian wedding, and hence the Burgundian inheritance. But it's really annoying that Castile can be losing to Aragon and actually losing territory to Morocco as well, and it gets this event that makes it win anyway. The advantage of fellow pagans is that they actually want to marry us, so why not? So it seems that our bloodline is a lot more prestigious than we realized, and in a way, our journey is much more epic than we thought as well. Not only are we the last vestiges of the Norse faith fleeing westwards, but we are also the last vestiges of a great pagan tradition. The last remaining Romans, evidently, fleeing west across the ocean to get away from these evil Christians. So currently we need legitimacy a lot more than we need prestige, though obviously prestige buffs legitimacy to some extent. Our prestige is going to grow by itself anyway, so let's get our legitimacy. As just a little update on what's going on. So there's an independence war, I assume, going on here. Yes, because Castile wasn't actually that strong compared to Aragon. Castile was significantly weakened, and then the whole like Iberian wedding thing happened, and as I said, I'm annoyed about that, but it, it's possible. No, probably not, given that war score. I don't know what's gone on in that war score, but oh, oh, Aragon is winning. Yes, yes, good, because it has a superior fleet, which is blockading. And then maybe would Morocco possibly get involved? Perhaps Morocco could take some more Castilian territory. That would certainly help Aragon. I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic. Let's actually see. Good, Aragon, big army. Castile. Very low. Yes. So they've got a 21 force limit, and Aragon has a 24. Yeah, this is good. I'd also be very interested to see what their income comparison is. I saw that Castile still has a very large income, but Aragon does seem to have a better income. Where is Castile? Oh, there. Yeah. See, I'm still rather kind of worried about that. Evidently, Spanish territory is good enough that, and they do have a lot of it. Not worried in terms of them defeating Aragon. It seems pretty safe to assume Aragon can hold its own, at least for now, unless France gets involved. But that is a lot more gold than we have, and Portugal has a lot more gold than we have as well. I probably should sort it alphabetically. Yeah, so we have about 2 ducats per month if we find ourselves. And okay, we've overtaken Portugal right now. But yes, it is a concern because obviously the more money they have, the more money they have to explore and colonize with. Portugal almost got defeated by Mali, but it didn't. So, though I see that Mali didn't lose any territory in it either. Hopefully, Morocco we can. Oh, okay. I forgot that completely. Oh, and Morocco's even taken Madeira. That's why we've overtaken Portugal. This is an interesting story in itself, that Portugal has been forced out of Europe and now lives in West Africa. I assume. Where's the capital of Portugal? Yeah, in Biafada. That is the capital of Portugal. It's like the 1800s where the Portuguese monarchy fled to Brazil all over again. Yeah. Well, that's fun. So having completed our colony in Gahuni, which will be our eventual capital, I think, I have now begun the colonization of Toxtorient and Nihilokig. Now, we're going to make Hochikona a territory, because we can only move capital to a province that's inside a state. Turn into a state. And also because if we turn into a state now, cost us? Ooh, that's a lot of maintenance. Ooh, that's questionable. How much does this cost as a state? State maintenance. Oh, maybe we don't pay any state maintenance on things that are overseas. Let's see. In theory, that costs us that much. Let's see if this costs us anything. On this note though, we do have enough to increase our stability, and this could give us some extra gold to play with. Ooh, it does actually. Why are we not playing maintenance on this state? That doesn't really make sense to me, but anyway. We are. So, boosting. That is a very weird. In any case, when these get fully cored, they're going to, as in fully colonized, they're going to automatically have a state level core. So, in that way, it's better to do it early. But right now, I think we're paying maintenance on the statehood of these two. What? Paying maintenance on the state as a whole, or based on the size of the state as a whole, and it contains 2 colonies which aren't actually pulling their weight yet. So that has problems. Yes, significant problems here. If only I hadn't brought that army, but on the other hand, we need that army because Lost Bosnia is eventually going to invade, and Lost Serbia just really hasn't recovered since it's had its run-in with civil war. Pretender rebels, that's what happened to them. Pretender rebels. Tragically, our 000 King Ake has died, leaving us with a Regency Council which is vastly superior to him. So, that's good. Though they're still not very good at military. We're never really going to catch up in military tech at this rate. In any case, this regency will last for, I believe, 3 years. 15 years have I waited to sit upon my throne. Oh, and a new heir, who actually will reverse our slide into military decline. Snorri will take us away to victory, hopefully. And by the time Snorri comes of age, or at least comes of his inheritance, which may be a long time. Snorri might die before it also does. Yeah, hopefully by that point, our nation has expanded enough to actually support a sizable army, and we can get to the job of killing people. I guess we're going to keep on sticking with Freya for now. At some point we will sway over to something else, maybe Tia or Snotra or something, once money becomes the less important thing and we start getting into the actual meat of the game. But for now, we need money and we need to keep on colonizing. We can now have a rival though, so that's interesting. And that is a very... that's a bit crazy. Why can we now rival Denmark? Okay, well, we're gonna do it. It's probably gonna come back to bite us, but eventually we'll overtake them. Denmark is at this weak point right now. I'm pretty sure Sweden is going to invade, take some provinces that they desire, and that will severely weaken them and break their back in a way. And then Norway will probably break free, and we might then start invading Norwegian territory. And yeah, and expanding our Scandinavian holdings. All in the interest of eventually owning all of Scandinavia and the British Isles as per the achievement requirements. So now that we're bigger and our empire is larger and we have more provinces, we now can start taking out loans. There was nothing to really stop us taking out loans earlier, it just really wasn't worth it, because the amount of money we could get in a loan was small, like 3 or 5 ducats, and that wasn't really going to help us along that much. While now we have a larger loan size, and while intuitively we may feel or that we shouldn't get into debt and that we shouldn't shouldn't let our inflation ramp up. Firstly, inflation is rather small. Like, each loan is only going to increase it by 0.1, and that's 0.1% inflation is not really going to impact anything too much. And eventually we're going to start reducing inflation, and it needs to get to 2% to even make that worthwhile. But also, the debt that we're going to get into is debt that can easily be serviced, because we are going to be taking loans in order to pay more colonial maintenance, and we'll easily be able to pay that back simply by decreasing the number of colonies we're colonising at a time, or pulling back completely, and suddenly we'll have a much increased income, a much increased profit, so that we'll easily be able to pay it back. So right now, the added kind of snowballing effect that we'd get from increasing our colonial maintenance, from colonising more places at once, is actually going to give us more of an advantage in the long run, in return for going in debt in the short term. As per usual, borrowing money is not actually a bad thing. Like, in real life, there are lots of good reasons to borrow money. So borrowing money is not a bad thing as long as you have a plan for actually using that money. And borrowing money for colonies is actually going to pay you back, while borrowing money for wars can be a bit sketchy. Like, if you win the war, yes, it's good, but borrowing money to not lose is probably not going to be worth it, unless you're really going to lose. If you're losing, it's usually best to peace out, white peace out if possible, or peace out with minimal losses, because the binary of wars, you either completely win or completely lose. Borrowing money from mercs can be very questionable. So, one of my provinces, Nihilakig, just started producing tobacco. And immediately I got a pop up telling me that I was now trading in tobacco, aka like the person with the most trade power in tobacco nodes, which is really surprising because I I didn't think I was. Now I find that, in fact, we have, with our one province, we have 21.7% of the market, while the highest producer has 23.9. So I'm assuming there are four or five tobacco producing provinces in the entire game currently, and we have one of them. And ours doesn't produce as much as Abba Pombero, who we haven't met, so this is kind of looking through a crystal ball and not cheating, but not being historically accurate here. We are breaking the fourth wall by knowing this knowledge, and knowing about Ming here, who we haven't actually met. But Abba Pombero is producing more than we are, but I'm assuming there are other Native American tribes there who are competing for that tobacco in the local trade node, and in comparison, we are trading into tobacco in a node that has no one else, and thus we get 100% of the trade of our tobacco. Where is that trade actually going? Okay. That's good, yeah. So we're going to Wapet, and then in Wapet we... Ooh. Well, anyway, we're taking a tiny bit of it, but then it flows on. Maybe we should actually try to move it towards the North Sea, where maybe we have more sway, except in the North Sea we do not have much sway. Oh, yeah, I guess. We're not tiny, but we're 10% of it. It's a question of whether 10% of what we have here, which is not actually that much, though we are getting a negative due to trying to collect in a node that, yeah, still, we aren't going to compete with England there. But anyway, that makes it very interesting. So, yeah, the number of... Either there are lots of empty space, like this entire island is empty, so there's a lot of empty space in the places that normally would trade in tobacco and sugar and things like that. Or there isn't anything at all. So we have maybe... Well, we definitely only have kind of one island's worth of Native Americans in the tobacco zone. So here, in the northern bit, I wonder what's happening with chocolate. Chocolate is the trade good that we certainly want to get into. At this point, we've got to the size where our estates are starting to complain about not having a territory. So the clergy haven't complained yet, but the nobility are, and they want 10%. How much would 10% be? So currently our country has... Yeah. 55. So they want at least 6 development. This is probably the... We're going to be losing a bit of tax, but in terms of giving them... I wonder if we can just give territories Might do that in the future. Minimum for autonomy. Yep. Okay. Given them some territory, that's still not enough. We might give them this tiny little island fortress province as well, which is worthless. Oh, it has to be a state. It does have to be a state. That's really annoying. Okay, so which province are we giving them? Not that. That would be painful. Let's give them Hamelocks. So that's probably going to impact our bottom line a bit. No more tax for us. Well, 25% less tax in those two provinces. So 25% of 3 ducats, so 0.75 ducats per year less gold coming into our coffers. But that is the price of stability in our duchy, because we aren't a kingdom. Now is the glorious day in 1510 where we will move our capital to Gahuni. We're doing this because it will mean that we can settle more than 4 provinces in a colonial region. So more than 4 in that region, more than 4 in that region, more than 4 in that region, without creating a colonial nation, a subject nation. And yeah, and obviously we want to colonize a lot more than just 4 in each of those islands, so we are going to move our capital. We might find a better place for our capital in the future, but this will do. I probably won't move my capital again. Well, I'm definitely not going to move my capital again. It's expensive and it's unnecessary in some ways, except for role playing. But yeah, so this is as good as it's going to get. Oh, the reason why it's 944 is because I pumped it up to 8, and then I got an event that pushed it to 9, and yeah, so it's a very profitable province. So now we probably need to. Okay, it's already a state. What does it cost in maintenance? That's the question. May have just decreased our state maintenance a lot. Yes, we did, because this Hachikona state was costing us like about 0.4 gold per month in maintenance. Not sure why, but it was. It seems a bit steep. And so yeah. Oh, and I also fixed this error with this being a state but not a state, and not having state maintenance on it, was because, like, for some reason this province I hadn't, like, there was this make a state button even though it's in the same area as these ones, and I'd already made that a state. So evidently there's a bit of it's a bit buggy with colonies. Meanwhile, in Europe we have Croatia going off in a big way. They have got rather large. I'm not sure where they popped up from at all. It seems maybe they started Dalmatia and then came out. We have Bohemia. Bohemia destroyed a lot of Hungary, and it seems in the last few years, well, in actually 1510, Croatia took this territory from Hungary, the remainder of Hungary, and now Hungary has two provinces. So that's that. So Bohemia is bigger, and it just went Protestant, and we've got a very strong Protestant Hamburg here. Because Hamburg was pretty big, and they went Protestant. Denmark is still Catholic, maybe? No, it's gone Protestant as well. Obviously, Sweden is Protestant, and the Protestant Reformation started in Switzerland in this game, in Bern. So, not too historic in that regard. Ooh, that is interesting that Milan has gone over the Alps. Did it? Oh, those are Savoy province. Yeah, okay, so Savoy's got destroyed by some people. Even Genoa took some Savoy provinces, it seems. And so yeah, strong Korea. Württemberg lost some initial territory to Lorraine, which I believe Austria kind of initiated that war, and now it seems that Lorraine has lost that territory to France, so France is getting bigger and bigger. Oh, so France attacked Provence, and in that war took some of Lorraine as well. So the mountains are no bound to these hungry blobs. Denmark has been covered in rebels for a lot of years now. Like, yeah, as during most of this Danish war, well, this Swedish war in Denmark to, I assume, take Skåne, Denmark has been covered in pretender rebels. Muscovy is at war with Sweden and Novgorod. I'm not sure why Sweden and Novgorod were allied in the first place. They seem like people would hate each other. Oh, okay. They're not allied, but somehow they're in the same war. Maybe Ryazan is allied with both of them, or if there was something going on there. But in any case, Sweden was winning, is winning the war against Denmark and Norway, but the Muscovites coming through may turn the tide on that. So yes, that is exciting. Morocco lost to some Portuguese rebels, but that's all fine, and Aragon is happily stronger than Castile, being free from them, and yeah. Mali is actually losing to Fulov, so that could be a thing to watch in the future.